Let's talk more about Donald Trump's appearance in a U.S. court in New York. In fact, tonight we're joined by international relations consultant Dr. Charles Sinkala. Dr. Sinkala, very good evening to you. Thankful for your time on News at Prime. Put into context the importance, the significance of this moment in U.S. politics.
Thank you very much for having me, Thembekile, and good evening to your viewers. Yes, it is an historic moment where a sitting former head of state has been indicted to face some charges before the courts. This will go down in the history. Notwithstanding the fact that, this issue is a very controversial issue, as we have seen that leading to his elected as president of the United States of America, Trump brought in different type of elections, away from the deception of career politicians such as President Joe Biden.
And it was interesting, isn't it, when Donald Trump was elected, yes, he ran on an anti-immigration policy. He's been accused of being a misogynist, a racist. Stormy Daniels, the porn star in question to whom this $130,000 was paid, allegedly for her to not go public about details of her sexual relationship with Trump, which goes back more than a decade. By her version, he's denied it. Despite all of that, it never seemed to stop Trump's political journey or rise to the top. And now he's trying to get elected again in the next election cycle next year. And under U.S. law, nothing prevents a person who's on trial from being elected. I wonder if you think this moment will strengthen or weaken his campaign.
Well, Thembekile, if you look at our scenario here when President Jacob Zuma was facing some charges, and there was that issue in terms of Nkandla homestead, where some millions and millions of taxpayers' money was spent. Many of the South Africans in the world thought that President Zuma at that time will never be voted for the second term, only to be voted for the second term, and as it made him very popular and a lot of sympathizers went towards him. This is the similar case in terms of as well the United States of America, where Trump, is the only candidate that the Republicans has, and who is also being viewed by the Democrats that is a big threat, because they are actually taking over the agenda of the Democrats, of which has been captured by a lot of military companies, United States of America companies, which has been selling and fueling wars around the world. You can see that during his term, we withdrew more than 2,000 to 1 million soldiers who were stationed outside the country, United States of America. Yes, to some extent, others feel that, this will be go down into, his books of cutting off all his aspirations as the candidate for United States of America as president. But as you likely mentioned, Article 2 of the Constitution of the United States of America does not bar anybody who has been convicted or indicted or has been facing charges or has been in prison before. I remember in 1924, although I was never there, but history tells us that, there was actually a candidate who contested presidential elections from the cells. He garnered 1 million votes out of 26 million registered voters, so he could actually, excel, to an extent that he wins the next elections.
So with that in mind then, to what extent will the trial itself then either, in fact, divide Americans? Because even when you look at the 2020 election results, it wasn't a landslide for Joe Biden, which means that popular as Trump is, almost just as many Americans in 2020 did not want him to be president.
Of course, as much as there was a lot of numbers of the Electoral College who did not want him to be a president, but they have realized that he's the most sober person who's not a career politician. Trump says that as it is, he's fought against the CNN, he's fought against many of things that he does not agree with, which has been perpetrated by the Democrats during their tenure. He's fought against the Iraqi wars, he's fought against the Libyan wars, he's fought against whatever that the Americans has ever indulged themselves in Afghanistan, Syria, and all that international policy in terms of military escalation and intervention. United States of America is in the position now that because of the Republicans who are the majority in the Senate and the lower houses, that's why even, one can also simply say that this is politically motivated.
So all of that, while it may be argued that, for example, America's influence or interference during the Trump years internationally was reduced, domestically there are still issues, are there not, that make him unpopular, i.e. the fact that the Republicans are anti-abortion. There's a massive groundswell of opposition against that. There's the issue of his position on the position of guns, for example, the gun lobby, at a time when American children are still being killed in classrooms. And even the fact his anti-immigration policy, as it's been called, those also remain issues. And can all of it be true? Can he be a problematic person domestically and globally while still having the attributes which you are pointing to as, shall we say, positives at the moment?
Yeah, well, look, the voters, they do not look at the technical and the aspects of that aspects that we are looking at in terms of technicality. Yes, there is some bad policies in terms of the Republicans, as well as there is more as well on the Democrats. But if you look at the margin of the victor, in the 2020 elections, Joe Biden, it was very minimum. And I think one can also speak to the 17,300 difference that, it was rigged to some extent. But the facts of that has never been produced.
But Joe Biden is not the subject of this trial. It is former President Trump, who, even by his former fixer, Michael Cohen's admission, there was money paid to Stormy Daniels, the actress, the porn star, whether he did good or not. But this is an issue that's going before the court. Should it not be left to the courts then to resolve it versus all the toing and froing about whether it's a conspiracy or not? Because ultimately, even someone in his own camp has admitted that a payment was made.
Look, Tembekele, the issue in terms of the United States Constitution and the law, there's nothing wrong of paying hush money to somebody, in this case, that porn star. There's nothing illegal of settling any matter, whether legal or civil matter, outside the court. That has been practiced not only in the United States of America, including here in South Africa and many other parts. The only challenge where they've held in contempt or against that he acted not in accordance with the declaration of accounting practices is where now his legal lawyer identified that payment at the $130,000 has legal fees instead of hush money. I think
so that's a lie. That was a lie told by his team. So park all of that.
Say it is a lie,
I mean, if you're not accounting for something as what it was, even in a normal institution for any company you work for, if you record a transaction under a false reason, that is a lie. It's an irregularity, in polite terms.
Well, it is not. Technically speaking, as a practicing attorney, I would say no, because you can't include in your books hash payment for that in that case. All those and the negotiations which his lawyer representing him into this matter, who had to sit down with Ms. Daniel, they agreed that they will settle the matter outside court. So all those costs, including other costs that he paid, was part of the legal fees.
But if it wasn't bad, why not list it as what it was, right? Because it could have all been avoided by just recording the transactions as what they were.
Well, Tembekile, if you go to the pub, would you like your bank statement to show that you went to the brothel? You wouldn't want that.
Well, I mean, I'd own it if I did. Wouldn't you?
That would be a different matter. But I think, because of his publicity as a public figure, I think he was advised that, and I'm sure he was married at the time, that it won't be nice if you record it in such. But he can prove to the court that he meant nothing to hide anything. That's why he's actually accepted now. He never meant to either divert the cost that he spent it towards that, but that was the way it was.
But Dr. Sinkala, it's important, by the way, that you and I caveat this, with saying that as things stand, we're not sure of how far the charge sheet will go or what the actual charges will be, because it's all been kept under seal, and we will only know while or when Trump is finally before a judge tonight. So that is when we will actually know what they intend to charge him for.
Of course, would like to know that. You realize that he still has a lot of charges, which has been considered as trumped-up charges, especially post the 2020 elections, which he lost to Joe Biden. You know, that he actually organized people to protest at Capitol Hill, and many other cases where they said he had involved in classified information, which was found by his house. But like you said, you know, we cannot speculate now until he's charged later this evening in our time this side. Then we can respond to that, charges which has been exposed and how significant it is and impact towards his campaigns.
Charles Sinkala, good to speak to you, Dr. Sinkala, international relations consultant, speaking to us about Donald Trump's court appearance later tonight.